Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Well, hello, the two people that are in right now. I'm going to give it just a few minutes and then just give a few people a chance to join, and then we'll get into it. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for more people to join, why don't you guys let me know in the comments who's watching? Hello, Violet. Howdy. Jennifer, hello. Today's stream is brought to you by Strawberry Peach LaCroix. It's quite tasty. Um, Indy, hey. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, I thank you guys for joining. If this is your first time watching, I know many of you are repeat viewers, but for those who it might be your first time watching, this is Art Autopsy. This is a bi-weekly live art event where I start a brand new oil painting and kind of walk you through my process. I also encourage you to make art at home. So if you are an amateur artist or a professional artist, or you're just curious about maybe starting to make art, just get a pen and pencil, pen and paper, pencil, paint, whatever your medium of choice is, clay, anything, and just make some art while I make art. And at the end of the day, we'll have some cool art to show each other. Now, if you do end up making art during this broadcast, please email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com and I will feature it on an upcoming stream. Now, I do have some viewer art to share, which I will do in just a moment. But I also wanted to give a quick plug because I received just an amazing gift today from Indy, who is currently watching. And let me just show you what they are. Check these out. These are, I'm going to just show you one at a time, but just these custom carved, sculpted paint brushes. This is just plastic on the tip, so I want to preserve the brush, so I'm not taking it off just yet. But look at that. It's like a little bone. This one's got like a really cool spiral to it. Just super cool. Really nice craftsmanship. Just fantastic. This is another one. It's just carved like a bone. Like, look how cool that is. And then also palette knives. Like, first off, look at this crazy carved palette knife. Just amazing. And then this one is like a little candle. It even has a flame carved in there. So cool. Really great. So, Indy, thank you so much for these amazing gifts. I'm not going to paint with them on today's live stream because since they're new brushes to me, I want to get used to them first. Sometimes there's a period of me adapting to learning a new brush. I don't want to embarrass myself on the live stream, but I will paint with these soon and hopefully incorporate them into a future live stream. Just a quick plug though, if you're interested in getting these brushes or palette knives from Indy, look her up on Instagram. It's imd.art is her Instagram handle, and I believe you can reach out and get some of these for yourself because they are amazing and really excited to have those. They are in and of themselves a work of art, so I hope I don't destroy them by using them. um, okay, and Liz, I see you are watching. Thanks for joining us. And this takes us, oh, real quick. Liz submitted a illustration that she did during the last live stream. But before we get into that, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to all the awesome people that support me on Patreon, and their names of course are on the screen: Jennifer Goupil, Tango 14, Travis Carney, Anthony Ferraro, Rachel, Derek Justice, Sea of Dead Faces, Violet Gray, Jill, Archangel, and our newest member Charlie Wall. So thank you guys so much. If you aren't on my Patreon, that's quite all right, but know that you can go and sign up for even the free tier, and then you'll still get the notifications for when I do new events, both live streaming or in-person events and things like that. Even the free tier gets those notifications. If you're on one of the paid tiers, you get more. Okay, let's get into some viewer art here. So this came from Liz, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you said in your email, let me find the thing here real quick. Here we go. I believe you said in your email that this was for tattoo flash, and this is just a wonderful illustration. I really love the way that it turned out, and this is, of course, right in line with a painting that I did recently on one of these live streams with the ladybug gorilla. So I was really stoked to see this. Thank you so much for submitting it. Again, anyone else, if you're making art during this live stream, email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com. And yeah, I want to show you, we're going to, of course, start a new painting in just a moment. But let's talk about how the painting turned out from the last live stream. So here we go. Here it is. You're going to notice, actually I'm going to use one of Indy's wonderful brushes here to point some things out. So if you're watching the last live stream, you're going to notice some things that are very different from how it was and how I told you that it might be when I was first working on the painting. You know, a lot of times ideas will come to me and I'll think, oh, that's going to be cool, and then I try them out and they just don't work. Or at least not as well as I wanted them to, right? So, for example, one of the things I talked about in this painting initially is the idea is that this elephant here is playing cards with presumably a gorilla or some kind of great ape, and maybe it's Bigfoot, who knows. And you can see here that they have all jacks, or I'm sorry, all jokers, because they don't really know how to play the game. They're just mimicking kind of human behavior. So initially I was thinking I was going to add, instead of them having all playing cards, maybe like a garbage pail kid or some other kind of similar cards, because they don't know how the game works. But after considering it more, I found, or I thought, though, that the painting was already getting pretty busy. There's a lot going on in it, and I thought if I muddied the waters too much, it would just be too visually distracting, and you would lose the real narrative of the game right here, which is, of course, yeah, them trying to play presumably some kind of poker, and the elephant, of course, gambling with peanuts, and the ape gambling with this moldy used banana. Another thing that has changed since the last live stream, I tried to do this where he was smoking the cigarette out of the trunk, but I just wasn't feeling good about the trunk. It never looked good. It just, if I had started on that earlier, I kind of added that as an afterthought because I believe Charlie, who was watching, suggested the trunk, and I like the idea, but it just wasn't working with how I laid out the composition at that time. So I switched it back to a human hand so that he would have two human hands. Threw in a little rat there in the corner, and then the clown, initially it was just going to be kind of like this circus clown, but now it's like some weird, almost what do you call it, ventriloquist dummy clown head. And you can see here that this is the claws of some kind of a creature, maybe the talons of a bird or claws of some unknown monster, serving booze there at the bar. So that is how that painting turned out. Yeah, I really like the way it turned out. Let me know what you guys think. And let's see, Liz says Wolfman, maybe it came out great. Love the black and white and contrast. Well, thank you very much. And also, if you watched last time, I was saying I was doing this as a black and white painting because I was going to submit it to a local gallery here that was having a group show, and but I just didn't end up finishing in time for the deadline. I could have submitted it anyway, but I wasn't feeling great about where it was, and I needed a few more days to finish it. So I'm going to try to get into that gallery with some other paintings sometime in the future for a future group show. But for now, this is what it is. So moving on, let's talk about what we are going to paint today. Of course, here's our clean slate here. So unlike the previous art autopsies, today I'm painting on a board. It's just a pre-gessoed hardwood board, no pores, so it'll be a lot smoother. Presumably it'll be easier to work with in terms of getting detail as the painting progresses. I love painting on board. That's kind of my go-to, but I had a bunch of canvases I needed to clear out, so I used those on the previous ones, but on board today. And if you recall the gorilla bug painting of a while back, that one started as a sketch in my sketchbook, and this one is also the same way. I was sketching and I came up with a couple different characters that I really liked in the same way that I liked the gorilla bug. So I'm going to show you these sketches. They are super rough sketches, right? You know, I just sketch fast and loose, and then sometimes you come up with something that's usable, and most of the time you don't. But I have two sketches to show you. Okay, here's the first sketch. Just going to set it up there. So, actually, I might need to, there's a little delay on the camera, so I can't quite see, but I'm going to bring it closer, and hopefully this will be in frame so you can see it. So what we have here is this fish crab human lady here who is walking her dog, which is part sea bug, so forth. And I just really loved these two as a pair. I thought these would be some fun characters for a painting. So that's where things started. But as I was continued to sketch, I came up with another couple of characters here that I really liked. And this sketch is even rougher than the last, but I'm going to show you anyway. So ignore the roughness. But this is a little cat dude with his kind of fishbowl diving bell helmet there, riding a hammerhead shark. And yeah, I kind of fell in love with this little cat character as well. And so I'm going to combine those two illustrations and make it so that the characters from the other sketch are in the foreground, and these guys are kind of in the background, sneaking up on them as if the cat is steering the hammerhead shark to come in for an attack. So that's the game plan for today. We are going to see how that goes. Okay, brushes, palette knives. Sorry, just reading the text here. Thank you, Charlie. And thank you, Indy. Glad you like the sketches. And yeah, Indy, please post a link in the chat if you would to your to where you sell your awesome brushes and palette knife, and hopefully we can drum up some business for you. Okay, so let's get started. I'm just going to see if I can prop up my sketches over here on my shelf. I'm going to have to periodically flip between them, or maybe I'll get tired of doing that and just rip one out and set them up next to each other. But anyway, here we go. And just like we did with the last painting with the elephant, I'm going right into oil this time. I'm not going to do the I'm going to do my underpainting in oil as well, but this time I'm going to use what's called an alkyd, and an alkyd is a fast drying oil color. So it's not going to dry quite as fast as acrylic, but it's not going to dry quite as slow as oil. It's going to be somewhere in between. And hopefully this gets, I'm going to do the underpainting very thin in the hopes that it will be dry enough to I don't know, words are hard, what am I saying? Dry enough to move on to color after I finish. So let's pick a brush. I got my giant selection of brushes over here. Again, I'm going to spend some time learning those new brushes that Indy gave me, and then we'll try those out on the future stream. Okay, so once again, I'm using these chisel tip brushes, just those angled tips. Love painting with these. Yeah, let's get to it. You guys feel free to chat amongst yourselves in there. And if I could ask, I'm just going to start painting and then check my reference here. Just got to think about the composition first, right? Like this, this is like headroom, right? Like that's the line that's kind of where I want the top of the fish head to be. I'm just using this black paint, and I have a jar of odorless turpenoid right here, so I'm just watering it down just so I can do some sketching, you know. So, and if I could ask a favor of you guys, because I'm always trying to get people to watch this live stream, but it is sometimes hard to find the right audience for it. I'm glad you guys have found it, but I wanted to try an experiment if you guys will oblige me. And maybe, actually, I'm going to go a little higher than that. If everyone who is so inclined can just simply like this video right now, actually like the live stream, I think we might be able to trick the YouTube algorithm into then displaying it for more people to see. So if you don't mind, give it a shot. Let's see if that works. Please like the video and see if then YouTube decides to show it to more people. Okay. And I'm going to get a rag as well. I have a whole bag of rags right here because I'm just kind of looking at my sketch over there and trying to, obviously this is going to turn out different from the sketch a bit, but you know, I want to have a general idea because I really like the way those characters are. I just want to make sure I incorporate a lot of that. Maybe at the end of the stream, if someone reminds me, I'll show you guys the sketch again and we can compare that to the painting and see how much we deviated from the original idea versus how much it actually ends up resembling it. Okay. And I don't know if it was immediately apparent in my sketch, but I kind of want this creature right here to be a lady. And so how do you make a fish person look like a lady? I don't really know. We're going to figure that out together. Okay, maybe. You know, already I'm thinking that I might have already started making this character too large. Well, actually, I could just have the leash come in and we can put the dog down here. I don't know, man. I'm making this up as I go along, and it's already different from the sketch, but let's see if it turns out okay anyway. Okay, I might end up erasing this and restarting over on that part, but I don't know yet. I have not decided. Let's see how let's roll with it for a bit and see if I can salvage this illustration here. I just don't want the bottom of her feet to get cut off, right? Like I want there to be some. Yeah, this is already. We're gonna start over. That's all right. I just made her too big, but that's all right. The excitement of starting from scratch. Okay, let's try this again. fish head. I'm just gonna rough this in a bit more rough this time so I don't waste your time and mine. And I have some kind of a lobster tail coming out the end here. Okay, yeah, and we're calling that done. What do you guys think? Just kidding. We are not done. Okay. But I think dimension-wise, I think that's going to work out fine. I know this looks like a bunch of garbage right now, but that is okay. As long as you trust that I know what I'm doing. The joke's on you, though. Okay, and then the other hand, right over here. And then the front paw of the dog, we want kind of on the same plane as her front paw here. And I use the term dog loosely because this is more of like a sea bug slash dog. Off to a rough start, but that's okay. We can recover. Okay. Now, the real star of the show comes in, which is going to be our little shark here. Let's think about. Well, let me flip the page over to my shark buddy real quick. Okay, you know what? I need to be able to look at both of these drawings at the same time. I'm gonna just tear one out of the sketchbook so I can set them next to each other. Okay. All right, now we're in business. Okay. You know, I have, because I'm a big weirdo, I have a large collection of skulls, and one of my favorite skulls in my collection is a hammerhead shark. Most sharks, I mean, maybe I'm talking out of my ass here, but I believe that most sharks just have cartilage and um, don't have actual full skulls. But the hammerhead, however, it does. And it's a really gnarly looking skull. So if I had thought about it, I should have brought it in to the garage here to show you guys, but I did not. So some other time we'll do a skull show and tell. Okay, so this is our cat character. He's just got a big fishbowl head. And he's going to be kind of anthropomorphic as well, just to allow him to, I think he'll be holding some reins or something that's going to go into the shark's mouth. Okay. And he's going to be further back in space. And although right now it just looks like they're on the same plane, but these are all things that we'll fix with color and as we continue through the composition. So, and let's, I want some like coral. I was thinking about this the other day. I think I was watching some videos of some other. Yeah, actually, there's an artist on YouTube. His name is 1000, and he's got a really cool uh, YouTube channel where he does a lot of competitions with other artists, and he always picks really cool artists, and they all try to paint like similar things, and then it's a whole competition thing. But I was watching a recent video of his, and one of the things that they had to paint was a goldfish, and it got me just thinking. It's like, oh, you know what? I have not painted a fish in art autopsy yet, and then I yeah, went with that goldfish theme, I think, in that sketch, and here we are. Actually, one of my earliest jobs, not my first job, not even my second job, but one of my early jobs was working at an aquarium, not a like a big aquarium, but like an aquarium store, you know, selling fish tanks and fish. And then later on, I started my own business. This was the first business I started, which was an aquarium servicing business, cleaning people's fish tanks and stuff. And yes, that was many, many moons ago. All right, so this this looks like a big blob of nothing to you guys right now, but I'm gonna start adding a little, you know, refining the sketch, and you're gonna see it come together. But here we have, let's reference these sketches again. Here we have our fish person right here, right, walking this sea bug dog right here, and then in the background is going to be this cat diver riding a hammerhead shark. Okay, and here we go. Let's keep painting. Let's start making this make a little more visual sense, so you guys can see it come together. And again, I'm just using this black alkyd paint, which is a fast drying oil. And yeah, just sketching with it. I'm just going to basically just using it like a pencil right now, right? Just roughing in the shapes, trying to figure out, you know, make sure the composition's good. And then after I get this sketch in, I'll start adding some white in there and the highlights, and then some grays, and we're just going to work this out in a black and white underpainting before we get into color. And if we do our job right, then when we get into color, we're already going to have all of the values of light and shadow established in this painting. And then color, on the color side, we don't have to work too much out at that point, because we've front loaded most of the work. So then it's all play from there on out. Or so I hope. And if this is not your first time watching, you know the drill, but I'm going to repeat myself a lot. So for those who are new to the live stream, I encourage you to get out your own art supplies and make some art at home right alongside me. And I do this live stream every 2 weeks. It's every other Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And if you're able to join me on these live streams and you're making art at home as well, in no time you are going to have a whole catalog of work. And it's just really cool. One of the things I've enjoyed a lot about getting back into doing this art autopsy event here is that I've been so far working with the same size canvases, all 16 by 20. For these live streams. So each time I finish a new painting, I like to line them all up. Well, the ones that haven't sold yet, I line up, and it's really cool just to see them all back to back. And it's such a cool feeling once you start building up a body of work and can actually take a, you know, see you know, the fruits of your effort. So yeah, do it. Make some art. It's fun. And yeah, again, please feel free to chat with each other. I will periodically look over and read the chats. So if you have any questions for me, let them rip. And if I miss your question, if it like drops off of the chat feed, feel free to ask a second time, and I will try to answer as best as I can. Okay, so ultimately, right now it just looks like there's a fish swimming on top of a headless person. But as we get into refine this, it'll be more clear that that fish is actually the head of the person. Or, I guess not really a person, right? More of a fish lobster person. Who doesn't like a good fish lobster person? No one, I want to know. And once again, could not WD-40 the squeak out of my chair. This chair is going to squeak forever until I get a new one, but I like it. It's comfortable, so you guys just have to deal with the squeak. And I'm going to give her like breastplate and armor here, which is actually going to, I hope, when I'm done, feel like it's part of the lobster shell. Of course, this is really going to come together when we get into color, and it, yeah, you can make it that nice lobster red. And again, for those just joining, if you would like to help out in a big way, just like the video, because YouTube uses information like likes and comments on the videos, even the live streams, to decide whether or not to show it to other people. And the more people YouTube shows it to, the more people watch. And the more people watch, presumably, the more people we can get interested in making art. Okay, that's coming together. I think I kind of want to go even bigger with this lobster claw here. I think this is one of those things where I kind of like really nailed what I liked about this character in the sketch, which is generally not the way things go. And now I'm just here trying to emulate what I did in the sketch, as opposed to letting it be its own thing. So maybe I'll be a little looser with it and just kind of let it breathe on its own and tell me what it wants to become. But I do really enjoy the way that the character came out in the sketch. So, you know, part of that has to be in there. Let's see. And, you know, when you're doing like a fantasy character like this, you know, something that doesn't exist in the real world, you can be, obviously you can be a little loose on anatomy and stuff because it's a creature that doesn't exist. But if you keep it in mind somewhat, at least, right, you, even though it's not a real creature, you want it to feel like it could belong in the real world. So, you know, it has its own anatomy, but it's somewhat rooted in reality. I think at least if you keep that in mind, it just helps sell what you're sell the image you're trying to create better. Let's see. So this, figure out where this leg wants to be behind here. Okay, starting to shape up. All right, let's check in with the chat, see how you guys are doing. Minecraft, thanks for joining. You're watching at work, but would love to make some art. See, this is a perfect excuse to slack off at work. You can make art while at work and then just quickly throw some business papers over your art if someone walks in and sees that you're not working. Let's see what else. Indy, our cat is watching too. Yes, excellent. Elizabeth is finishing up a drawing of a dragonfly. Right on. Awesome. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you for participating in the chat and for watching. Okay. So this hand is just going to be human. I think one human hand, one crab claw. Sounds about right. That's a good ratio. I'm just putting a blob in there, right? I'll detail out that hand when we get a little further along. That's just a BS placeholder. Okay. Let's get some detail going in the dog, in our doggo friend here. I recently had a doggy visitor. My sister-in-law came to stay with us for a bit, and she brought her dog, Dusty, with her. So I got some good dog time. Normally it's just cat time here all the time, but every once in a while we get some dog time when dog friends come to visit. I don't know what kind of dog this guy is that I'm painting. Just kind of a generic mutt. Maybe he's got a little pit in him. Maybe a little boxer. I don't know. He'll shape up. He'll tell me what kind of dog he wants to become as we continue to paint. Of course, he too is not going to truly be a dog. He's going to be this lovely creature with the body of some kind of mollusk, some kind of a sea bug. Also part lobster, perhaps, just like the person walking him. We don't know. We don't know what the story is just yet. We're going to figure that out as we go. Okay, but I definitely want him to have this kind of this shell armor, just like his buddy. And then his front legs and maybe his back legs will be pretty close to dog-like, and then there's going to be some additional legs in between kind of coming out of the bottom, which will give him that arthropod look. Is that what they're called? I don't know, man. I don't know words. Okay. Yeah, he's looking pretty cute already. Just a few suggestions of detail is already bringing him to life. And we're gonna give him like a little tail. It's gonna be up because he's gonna be wagging it or something. We'll figure that tail out in a sec. Oh, that reminds me, I want her to have like a lobster tail too. So we're gonna come back to him in a sec. Let's give her lobster tail while we're thinking about it here. Let's see. This is another case where I should have brought a picture of a lobster to look at, because it's all right. That's going to be rough. We'll figure out what the tail actually looks like later. Okay, now we'll give him a little dog tag too. I don't know what his name will be, but we'll figure that out, and that'll be on the tag. Let's see. We're going to just rough in a leash here. There we go. Now we're in business. Oh, he needs his extra legs. Silly me. He almost made it out of here with only 4 legs. Okay. Yeah, it's rough and a little bit of shadow there. Okay, cool. Coming along. Andy says, and now Rock Lobster is playing in my head. Excellent. Happy to embed Rock Lobster in people's heads. Okay, let's get to our our cat diver here. You know, it is deceptively difficult to paint a perfect sphere. So I'm going to be refining this shape over the course of this entire painting. And it will never quite be a perfect sphere, but hopefully it won't be distractingly bad. Oh, and I passed, since our last live stream, I passed a milestone on Instagram. I got over 9,000 uh, subscribers, so that was neat. So thanks if anyone is watching as one of my new subscribers. Thanks for joining me. Okay, this cat is not looking great, but that's all right. You know, it's work in progress. Work in progress. I have a feeling I'm going to end up retooling this shark over and over again to get the perspective right. Okay. Let's see. So, you know, again, the cat's going to be anthropomorphic, you know, human body, cat head, but I want the body to be like a proportions of a kid. You know, it just, I guess, kind of a good touchstone would be like Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like he still has those little proportions. Um, so that's kind of what I'm going for. That kind of proportions on this guy, just to still keep the character cute, while also menacing by, you know, of course, virtue of the fact that he rides a hammerhead shark around like a badass. The hammerhead's head is going to cover part of his leg here, but I'm just painting through that right now so I can have a better grasp of how this cat's anatomy is going to connect, you know, the joints of the leg. Otherwise, I'll get confused and it will just look weird, as opposed to the totally normal scenario that I'm trying to paint. And okay, so the shark's fin is going to come up. You know, this cat should probably also have some kind of like a scuba tank on back of him. So let me just throw in a couple lines here to remind myself of that. And the shark's fin is going to come out and back like that. And let's see. And I'm just taking some odorless turbinoid here and wiping away that. Okay. Andy is asking the chat what everyone's favorite drawing tool is. That's an excellent question. If I may be so bold as to answer that question for myself, and attempt not to be long-winded about it, although that is not my strong suit. Um, the answer is right here. Just these little simple uniball black pens. Again, I tend to be really sketchy when I draw because my final product is never a drawing. My final product is always a painting. But I just like how immediately bold the ink is. And they're cheap. I buy them in like 20 packs, go through them like crazy. Yeah, I just really like the way that the ink flows out of it. So that is kind of my go-to. When I was in school many eons ago, I would draw in class non-stop, much to the dismay of every single teacher I ever had. Um, I was paying attention in class. I got good grades and stuff, but I could not just sit there and not draw. Um, but I always had pens in school. So, I didn't always have pencils on me. So I got used to drawing in pen at an early age. Um, and when you draw in pen, there's not a lot of forgiveness there for mistakes. That doesn't mean you won't make mistakes, but it forced me to learn how to correct out of my mistakes, um, so that I didn't have to keep starting over. And that was a skill set that I think has clearly carried over into painting as well. Because as you've already witnessed 100 times in this painting, I'm constantly making mistakes, but it doesn't matter if you make mistakes as long as you know how to paint your way or draw your way out of the mistake. No one will know the difference. To be honest, I might also be giving this hammerhead too many fins, too few fins. I don't really know. I'll probably, although laziness might prevail and I might not do this, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to go look at some pictures of a hammerhead shark and just see how bad or good the anatomy is that I am imposing upon this fellow. Okay, well, I think you can see at this point, at least, what the characters are is recognizable. Clearly, there's no detail yet, right? It's just hard lines, or big blobby lines. That's okay, but it's starting to take shape. So now we're going to accept, for the sake of this sketch, that this background gray color is our midtones, and then the black will be our shadows. I'm just going to get in with some white and start adding in some highlights, and then eventually all of the, you can see this gray tone has a slight greenish hue to it, so eventually it's all of that greenish hue is going to go away, and it's going to, the tone will end up being, the underpainting will be more similar to this painting in terms of, just really stark black and white and none of this color in it. And from there, we start adding color in. But we've got a long ways to go, so let's keep going. I don't know. I was about to say, I don't know what kind of expression this fish should have on its face, but fish always kind of have the same look. Not very expressive faces all the time, although I guess I could impose some human characteristics onto it just for the sake of of this painting, and just to give it a little more emotion. I don't know. I think at this point, and don't hold me to it, but I think that this character does not see the shark coming yet. And so they won't be fearful at all. They're just kind of out walking the dog, you know, having a good time, being a fish. They will soon be having a very bad day, but for right now, as this image was captured, they don't know they're having a bad day yet. Or maybe the shark and cat are just coming to make friends, and they won't completely tear them apart. We're gonna have to wait and find out. And look at this. So again, it's an oil, but it's these Griffin alkyd oils, which are fast drying oils. And because I'm painting so thin, I'm watering it down with the odorless terpenoid. It's very thin paint. So the moment that terpenoid, what do you call it, evaporates, this is almost dry already. I mean, I could take more terpenoid and I could wipe this off really easily right now. But I mean, look, I'm touching it with my finger. It's barely moving at all, which is great. This is where we want it to be because, you know, for the sake of making progress in this live stream, of course, I want to be able to get into color while you guys are watching too, because that's where this is really going to start to come to life. So again, normally I do the underpaintings for these live streams in acrylic. Just decided to do oil this time, and not regretting it. Not regretting it. It's working out okay. Let's see, just catching up on the chat here. Oh, Jennifer pointed out that there was a crab in the bottom corner of the cat sketch. Good eye, and I totally forgot about that crab. We'll get him in here somewhere. We'll get some other sea creatures in here, I promise. If not him, I mean, probably the crab as well, but we'll probably throw in some more fish and other kinds of cool stuff, you know, hidden in the background. But good eye on him. Let's see. Indy says, he always great at perspective. I have such a hard time placing people so they don't either look like they're at the very bottom of the page or floating in the air. Well, thank you. It's very kind. It's a difficult thing to do, but it's one of those deals where, you know, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it's just observing life and looking at, you know, other images, see how other painters do it, and see how, you know, that perspective looks at photographs, and you just absorb as much visual information as you can, and then eventually it gets easier as you go. Violet says hammerheads have 5 pairs of gill slits situated forward of the pectoral fins. Aha! Thank you, thank you. I probably didn't leave them enough room for those, so I might have to fudge that a bit. We're going to see. What do you like to watch or do while you're painting or sculpting and not live streaming? Well, that's a good question. Right here, hidden by all these masks. I just put the masks here for the sake of the live stream, but there's a TV behind them, and I have a ridiculously sized VHS collection, mostly horror, so I usually just pop on VHS, and it helps pass the time. At this point in time, you know, I generally pop on movies I've seen a bunch, so I'm just listening to them as I paint. Sometimes I'll do a book on tape, sometimes I'll just do music, It all depends, but lately my go-to has been VHS. And let's see, most recently, well, you can see here's a stack of recently watched stuff. So most recently, I just finished American Werewolf in London. Before that, I was watching The Stuff, Return of the Living Dead, this movie with 6 or 7 S's in the title. I don't know. I guess it's just called. It's a people turning into snakes kind of movie. And Fright Night 2, and then the other ones in these piles I haven't gone through yet. But yeah, that is the answer. Too much information maybe, but there you go. What do you guys do when you paint? Do you like listening to music, or do you put on TV in the background? I'd be curious to know what everyone else's process is. I'll tell you what I don't do when I'm not live streaming. I don't just sit here and talk to myself. But the live stream, of course, forces me to do exactly that. So that takes a while to get used to, is just sitting here talking to yourself as if there are people in the room with you, because people are watching at home. But I'm getting more used to that as we go. Also, just a couple hours before I started this live stream, I finished up an edit. It's like a 7 or 8 minute version of the entirety of that Gorilla Bug painting, where I kind of just talk through the process and my thoughts on creating it. So if I know at this point many of you have seen that painting, how it turned out already. But if you'd like to know a little more about my thoughts while creating it, check out that video. It's on my YouTube channel. It just came out today. And that painting was recently acquired by Jennifer, who is watching the stream, I believe, still. Oh, there, and she just commented. Let's see. Jennifer says she always listens to music. Elizabeth listens to music or Spotify with iTunes. Excellent. Yeah, one of the reasons why, I mean, yeah, sometimes I just like listening to music while I paint, but one of the reasons I love popping on a movie while I paint, especially if it's a movie I'm familiar with, you kind of get lost in the story, and the time just, like, you know, melts away. And it just, I feel like I end up painting for, I have longer painting sessions when I have a movie going on, because I get kind of invested in the story while still being invested in the painting, but I lose track of the time that's going by, and therefore I just get a little more productive with the movie in the background. So that's just one of those, you know, me tricking myself into working harder. Which sometimes you gotta make little tricks for yourself to motivate you to do the work. Although I'll tell you, you know, when I was younger, and yeah, I've been painting since I was a kid. I don't have a period of time in my life when I can recall not painting, or drawing, at least of some sort. But in the past, you know, especially if I had like an art show booked, like let's say a solo show where I had to complete 15, 20 paintings, and I had to do it all in 6 months, or whatever the ridiculous time frame is that I would set for myself. Sometimes that can just wear on you, and you get to the point where it's like, oh, I don't feel like sitting down and painting. And at some point in time, and I can't even put a finger on it, but just over the course of my painting career, that feeling just eventually went away. Now I no longer have any dread about painting. I don't, I never feel like it's like I'm having to force myself to do it really, because it's always something that I want to be doing, you know, so, which is good because it could have gone the other way. I could have gotten more and more sick of it over time, but fortunately for me, I just keep having more and more fun doing it the older I get. Okay, I'm going to introduce a little shadow back in here and back of this claw just to make this pop out a bit more. Okay, well, I got one of our 4 characters here starting to shape up. Baby steps. And again, as always, if you watch the stream, you know the drill, but started sketching with a bigger brush. Each time I'm progressing along, the brush gets smaller and smaller. And then by the end of the painting, I'm on the real tiny brushes, just working in detail, but still working with somewhat bigger brushes right now, but smaller than when we started. Oh, and I just snapped this brush accidentally. So let's find another brush. Fortunately, I have no shortage. Some might say I have too many brushes. Sometimes it's hard to find the exact one I want to use. Yeah, we'll go with this one. Looking for spiders outside, eh? Okay, we're gonna get to the dog. I'm just gonna, on this side, I'm just gonna work from the top. You can see this is all pretty dry already. Not a lot of smearing happening, which is great. So I'm just gonna work my way down here so I'm not smearing my paint too much as I go. Again, we're gonna continue to try to shape this dome. It'll subtly get rounder and rounder as we work, inevitably getting messed up at different times and re-rounded again and again. As long as it is round-ish in the final painting, that's all that's going to matter. So I think too, as I mentioned earlier, these guys are going to be kind of fall into the background a bit, so they're going to be a little darker. And these guys I want to pop out more. So we're going to keep the cat well, the background of the ocean is going to be pretty dark blue, like a Prussian blue base, maybe cobalt blue. Um, we'll see on that. But these guys, the cat's going to be, probably like a tabby, earth tones, brownish, um, but really fall back into the blue. The hammerhead shark, of course, is going to be primarily that bluish. But then our fish lobster lady here is going to be bright goldfish orange, and we're going to make this dog a little red-headed dog too, and that should really pop out from the blue of what will be the background. And then to kind of sell that even more and to pop these characters out even further, I might have a shaft of light or something coming in through the water, illuminating this part of the water and casting their shadow over the ground here, and then maybe illuminating some other colorful coral around there, which hopefully, if we do our job right here, we'll push this figure into the background and help sell the narrative that it's coming up from the depth of, or from the a distant spot in the ocean. That's the idea. Everything, of course, is subject to change as I mess up, but that's what I'm targeting for right now. Oh, you know what? Let's, the question is the cat the hero of our story or the villain? Is he uh, is he coming to attack or is he coming to play? And if he is coming to attack, are these characters villainous? We don't know. But I'm curious to see how it all turns out. They, I don't know why this just popped into my head. I think because I was just perusing this book earlier, but there is uh, an artist who, I believe his name is Burne, Burne, Hogarth, and he has a series of books. Um, all of his books start with the word dynamic. So it's like dynamic anatomy, dynamic hands, dynamic cloth, dynamic light and shadow. And if you are the type of person that learns well from books, which that's me, I um, self-taught in that I learned by reading books. That's how I really started to get better at art. But his books are excellent, and he really explains things in a clear way in his books that yeah, anyway, I recommend it. And his art is just really cool. It's very it's technically like anatomically correct work, but it's also heavily stylized. So the all the musculature of the characters is just extreme. Or in his book on painting dynamic fabrics and stuff, just the crazy folds in the fabric. Everything that he illustrates is kind of to the extreme, but it's a great way to, because he exaggerates so much in his drawings, it's a really cool way to help get a grasp on the way uh, light wraps around objects and things like that. So yeah, check those books out. Actually, let me throw this question to you guys. Do you have any books on um, creating art that you have found helpful. Uh, and then I would be remiss to not mention this book. This is the single book that changed that made me a better artist. I think that improved my art more than any other. And that is the book, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. In fact, that remains the more so than any other book. I have bought that book more times than any other book because I buy it and give it to people, you know, because it's just, I mean, the book is very specifically geared towards wanting to, towards, you know, drawing comics. But if you think about it, if you are a comic book artist, you have to learn, you have to know how to draw everything. Because think about it, like comics have people, animals, buildings, vehicles, weapons, anything that you might want to put into a story, it's going to exist in a comic book. So even if you're not interested in comics personally, um, that particular book really does a great job of explaining, um, applying perspective to not just to buildings, like let's talk about that too, but to, you know, the human anatomy and things like that. So How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Highly recommend that book if you are trying to improve your drawing game and you have hit a wall. Because it's made at its core, I think, you know, it's probably made for younger people. I certainly read it when I was a kid, but the what they teach in there still holds up. So. Of course, there was a time when I was a kid where I did want to draw comics. In fact, I did draw a few of my own comics, but yeah, I never really kept up with comics as an adult, to be honest. But that influence obviously carried through to what I do now with my art. Oh, I'll have to check out that German drawing book. Oh, Jennifer says, regarding our story here, maybe he's going to rescue the dog from his fish lady captor. That is very true. That might be what's happening. Maybe it's like a Milo and Otis scenario here. They are buddies. That could be. Life, Painting, and Passion. I haven't seen that book, but my shelves are filled with books on painting and drawing and books on writing. Probably mostly books on writing, well, other than fiction books and stuff like that. But for the nonfiction side of things, I have way too many books on writing. Or perhaps not enough. I like, though, just about this painting and the whole little story happening here, uh, that the viewer will be able to form their own interpretation as to what is happening or what is about to happen. Like that's kind of cool, I think. There's another great reference book, and this is going to be a terrible suggestion here because I cannot remember who the author is. I'll just have to showcase it on a future stream. I'll pull the book off the shelf. But I do have a rather fantastic book on animal anatomy, and it just breaks it down in illustrations, the skeletal and muscular structure of a whole host of different animals. And since I, as you no doubt have learned, love drawing animals and such, I found that book to be especially helpful as well. But I also, being a collector of skulls and skeletons and things like that, actually studying the real bones does give you some cool insight as to how these creatures move and how the anatomy works. So anyway, I ramble. Okay, so we'll put in some gills there at some point. Maybe this fin gets pushed a little further back. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but I'm just saying that out loud because maybe I got to fix that. In fact, maybe I got to fix something else here. While we are on the subject of sharks, do you think anybody will ever make a shark movie that can even come close to being as good as Jaws? There have been many shark movies made over the years, but for my money, none of them can hold a candle to Jaws, the gold standard by which all shark movies will be judged. And I'm actually going to go in just with a white paint and just refine the outer edge here, just to of this, so I can kind of re-sculpt this fin a bit. That one as well. And then also, so I think, you know, the definitely not Sharknado. Yeah, the Jaws question is kind of a no-brainer, right? But here's another one that's a little more contested here. In werewolf movies, what is your favorite werewolf movie? So for my money, I think An American Werewolf in London is the Jaws of werewolf movies, in terms of no one has made a better werewolf movie since. It will be very tough to even come close to it, but I do love there are other werewolf movies that I love, like The Howling, and Silver Bullet is fantastic. I was just talking about those movies with a friend the other day. What about you? What's your favorite werewolf movie? Please do not say anything related to the Twilight franchise. Just kidding. You're welcome to your opinion if you do prefer Twilight movies. You will just be wrong, however. Teen Wolf. Hey, I do like Teen Wolf, though. That is a good one. Although more in the comedy side than horror. Although I guess you could also argue that American Werewolf in London is more in the comedy side as well. Oh, Ginger Snap's good too. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there are. It's like shark movies. It's hard to even name another good shark movie. Although there are some, but yeah, werewolf movies there are good ones out there. But yeah, for my money, American Werewolf in London. It's just it's great. And I guess shout out to the original Wolfman is great too, but in a different way. Obviously, very dated. Still a fantastic movie though. And I'm just using the white here to reshape some of this outline here. This is all going to get painted over anyway, but it helps me just keep track of the lines I want to keep and the lines I want to remove in the illustration. Oh, speaking of werewolf movies, however, I there's a new werewolf movie coming out that I worked on, that I was the visual effects supervisor on, and this werewolf movie is pretty good. Like, I had a lot of fun with it, and I think it's actually a pretty rad little film and worth checking out. I don't want to give away any spoilers because it's certainly the kind of movie that you could spoil, so I won't say too much about it, but it comes out on June 20th, and it is called Alma and the Wolf. It's got Ethan Embry in it, if you know him. Uh, and yeah, super fun. I got to do the visual effects, which is the digital work, and then my buddy Jim Ojula and his awesome team did the practical effects. So we really got to work together hand in hand to um, craft the vision for the creatures and all the other fun stuff in this film. So yeah, June 20th, Alma and the Wolf, and it's going to have a limited theatrical run. I don't know where it's playing yet, but it's a Paramount film, so it will inevitably be on Paramount Plus as well. So look for that. And then you can say, the dude that did the digital effects for whatever that's worth. Okay, this is going to be, I haven't quite wrapped my head around this yet, but conceptually, I know that the back of this shark has to be less contrasty because it's further back in the ocean, and so the ocean is going to be somewhat cloudy, so he's going to have more detail up front, and then as he gets pushed further back, the contrast is kind of going to go away. He's going to get absorbed into the blue of the ocean a bit. I know that has to be done, so I'm thinking of it now. Uh, but that particular little bit of detail isn't going to come through in the underpainting yet. That's something that's going to materialize as we move forward and continue to work this out. And then another film that I worked on recently that is out right now, I think it might still be in theaters, not werewolf related, is a very lower budget independent film, but fun. It's called The Death of Snow White. And that's one of those, they typically call them mockbusters. So it's like when Hollywood has a new tentpole film coming out, like Transformers or Godzilla, enterprising independent filmmakers will make a low budget version of that, just to help piggyback off of the marketing of it. And so with the Disney Snow White coming out, these filmmakers made an independent, gory horror version of Snow White called The Death of Snow White. And I was the visual effects supervisor on that as well. So that one was doing a lot of magic shots, lots of firefly shots. My buddy Jim Bonner who does a lot of work with me. Also worked on Alma and the Wolf with me. He did all the Firefly stuff in that, all the animation of the Fireflies, and then my friend Anthony did a lot of the compositing on those shots. And anyway, fun film. You know, it's not going to win an Oscar, but it's not that kind of film. It's a you know, go have fun, watch you know, Seven Dwarves brutally murder people kind of film. So yeah, a fun one. And yeah, I just had a great team of dudes working for me on that film. Other than the people I mentioned, Lee Boxleitner is another talented filmmaker and visual effects artist, and he did a lot of the magic shots on that. And then my buddy Mike Jones, and I'm blanking on on the whole team, but sorry if you're watching and I didn't name you. It's okay though. None of my visual effects team is watching the live stream as far as I know, so they won't be too offended if I forgot to name them. They're all credited in the movie though, so that's fine. Okay, yeah, it's those little puppy faces coming together here. And you know, as we get in and detail him more, we'll have a better opportunity to really give him some personality. You know, figure out. Yeah, dogs do have pretty expressive faces, unlike fish or sharks. With sharks, you got two options, right? The mouth is closed, might not eat you. The mouth is open, definitely gonna eat you. So, but with dogs, they got a pretty wide range of emotion, so we can get a fun expression on him. Cats, a lot harder to show their emotion in a painting. At least when you have a cat, you really get to know their expressions and what they mean. But it's almost just individual to each cat. It's hard to convey it as much. But dogs just have more expressive faces. I love them both, though. Let's see, NDS, my partner said I should ask, did the movie The Violent ever get made? It has not been made yet. So that is a film that I had been trying to get off the ground with director Kelton Jones for many years. You have not officially been in Hollywood until you have had your heart ripped out by 100 times by trying to get a film made, almost getting it made, and then having the rug pulled out from underneath your production over and over again. And that's the true Hollywood experience. So I still hope to make that film. It has not happened yet, but it, yeah, it's it almost got made on a number of occasions and had a lot of big Hollywood people behind it, and things. Yeah, it was an uphill battle. So still fighting the good fight, and hopefully one day I get to make that film. Don't feel bad for asking about it. That's just the way it goes. Um, Julie says, I think Hammerhead Shark's expressions look like they just received an unexpected insult. Nice. I'll have to play that up then. Indy says, well, you have two people lined up to watch it whenever you get to make it and it comes out. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'll probably end up making another film or two before then. But yeah, I hope to one day make it because I think it will be a good movie. Although a very challenging movie for many reasons. Okay, I know, so some of you have been here since the beginning, but people drop in and out of this live stream. So let me just throw this out there again. If you've recently joined, if you would like to help me out with ye old YouTube algorithm, please just drop a like on the video. Give me the thumbs up on the live stream, and if you're feeling really saucy, leave a comment, because those kind of interactions with the viewers are the type of things that the YouTube algorithm uses to decide whether or not it should show the live stream or the video or whatever it is to more people. So okay, these little bug legs are a little out of control. We're gonna figure out the detail of those later. But yeah, I'm liking this little puppy dude. Quick poll for those of you watching. Which of these characters is your favorite? Is it going to be Fish Lobster Lady, Dog Bug, Cat, or Shark? Let me know. Elizabeth says, yes, the shark looks sad or disappointed. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're in good shape. You know, it's starting to come together. Oh, let me fix this arm up a bit, and then we'll be in good shape. So let's see. And if you are, there's a link right above me there to my Patreon. If you want to keep up to date with all the random creative endeavors that I have, feel free to sign up for my Patreon. Even the free tier, you get updated on all the live events and things like that. And the paid tiers come with like discounts for my online stores and art and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's really helps me do what I do. So yeah, either one. But even the free tier, if you want to just keep up to date with what I'm doing, please consider signing up. And if you're just not into Patreon or whatever, I am on all the usual suspects of social media. I'm gonna give just these little sharp thingies coming out here. I don't know what those are going to be yet, but I wanted them there, so there they are. Okay. And I'm just going to take some white paint real quick and cover up the bad lines here that I don't want to see. Let's see. We have. Let's see what people voted for their favorite character. Uh, Puppy looks a bit like a shrimp. Yes, that's what we're going for. Little sea bug puppy. Indy votes for dog bug. Partner says scuba kitty. Elizabeth says the shark is my fave in the painting. I feel bad for him. I want to cheer him up. Indy votes for pupper. Shrimp. Charlie, I used to have a mono shrimp. Fun little guys. Yeah, it's funny how the little shrimp have different personalities too. I used to work at an aquarium store, and we had every kind of aquatic critter in the world, and you really start to get to know the personalities of some of the critters. We also had reptiles. And I didn't really, before I worked there, I never really thought of like lizards as having distinct personalities, but some of them certainly do. My favorite lizards that we had in the shop, um, well, there were a couple that I really liked. The leopard geckos, also called fat-tailed geckos, were just super cool and chill, and they always wanted to be held, and just really soft and friendly. And then we had these other kinds of lizards called skinks, and they had personalities just like little rats. They would want to climb you and yeah, just really cool. So who knew? I did not until I did. And then we had these tokay geckos, uh, which would bark, and they were just mean as shit. And for some reason, the owner of the aquarium store just wanted me to take them. I think they were just so mean, and they may have been returned by a couple different customers because they were so mean, and he just didn't want them in the shop, and he wanted me to take them home, and I did. And then they escaped their cage. I don't know how, and just ran loose in my bedroom for a while, and I eventually they must have got out. I don't know what happened to them, but hopefully they flourished in the wild because they were little escape artists, but they would bite the crap out of you at any given chance. So yeah, do not recommend tokay geckos as pets. But leopard geckos, yes. Suriyama. That name sounds familiar. I'm sure I'm familiar with his work. I'll have to look him up after the live stream just to refresh my memory. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to add a little more white in here just to refine the shape of this guy, and then we're going to start to think about what we want with the background, plants. Are we going to place other critters in here? Um, Again, this is going to be light source. The sun will be above the water, probably a beam of light coming in from right there, which will largely be invisible other than it's going to affect the color of the water right over here. So I want to start premeditating that and how that light source is going to affect these characters in the foreground. But getting ahead of myself, let's just kind of cement the outer shape of this guy in here. Just another fun thing I did. I went to on Sunday in Pasadena, California. They have the Monster Palooza convention. So me and the missus attended that, and it was a lot of fun. It's just one of those conventions. Um, I mean, they've got a lot of cool like horror actors and all kinds of stuff, but I don't really go for the panels or anything like that. I go for the vendor booths because they always have a lot of cool stuff to look at, and inevitably it's one of those places where I just end up running into just like 100 people that I know all the time. So it's really fun. Yeah, you run into people you work with in the movie industry and the art world, um, and in the mask world, you know. So, and it's also a lot of, since am a mask collector, a lot of the top mask makers all have tables set up there, and you can go check out, see what their newest work is, and that's always really fun for me. So Monster Palooza, if you're in the LA area, you have a chance to go and you like monsters, that's the place. Um, they also do a convention called Son of Monster Palooza, and that one is typically in October, and that one's at the Burbank Marriott, and it's same type of convention, but just a little smaller in scale, but equally as fun. It's 8:42 already. Time flies when you're painting. Oh, and while I'm on the topic of nothing in particular, just talking about shit. Let me just cough real quick after that buildup. I'm working on a new storefront for ClintCarney.com, and gonna pardon me. I'm going to be launching that pretty soon, as soon as I'm done developing that. But it's I'm going to be taking a lot of the paintings I've done at Art Autopsy and making them available for sale. The originals, there are a few that have sold already, but the ones that are still around, those are going to go up, and that'll be first come first serve on those guys. But I'll also be doing limited edition prints, as well as some other cool items. I'm going to be doing puzzles of some of these paintings, which are super cool. And yeah, so keep an eye out. Again, if you follow me on any of the socials or on Patreon, I'll be no doubt posting about all of that stuff. So There's a new show on Apple Plus called Murderbot, which is pretty fun. Um, Alexander Skarsgård is this robot, like a security robot. It's in the future and takes place in this like mining colony. And he kind of hacks his own program so that he can have free will, and he names himself Murderbot, and hilarity ensues. It's pretty fun. It's just a fun sci-fi comedy, but worth checking out if you got Apple TV. And then let's see other stuff. Just wrapped up watching Mobland, which is a new gangster show made by Guy Ritchie, whose films I love. It's got Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, Patty, forget his last name. Just a great cast. Anyway, so those are two fun recommendations. I don't know if you call Mobland fun, but it was good. Solid storytelling, good acting. Do you guys have any TV recommendations or film recommendations? Let me know. Okay, so again, this is going to be the bright spot in the ocean right here. And then everything else will get a little darker. Not going to get too crazy with just this undetailed part of the water yet. That's all going to come together in color. And then again, I'm just thinning this paint out with odorless turpenoid as I go, which is why it's going on so thin, and also which is why it will dry so fast. Because the turpenoid evaporates, all that's left is paint, and it's a very thin amount of paint, so it dries up pretty fast. James and the Giant Peach is my go-to movie, says Andy. Hey, that's a good movie. I remember reading that book as a kid. I think I was in the 5th or 6th grade or something. Roald Dahl, the author. And because I'm just doing this thin kind of thinned out turpenoid drenched lazy background popping in here, it's tough to get a good blend on the gradient of painting this thin. But again, the details in the ocean and the that sort of stuff is going to happen when we get into color. It's not being too precious about what I'm doing right now, other than to start to establish some tonal shifts in the ocean, dark spots, light spots, etc. Okay, so again, we're just going to keep things super loose, but let's say we're going to have some coral right around here. Maybe like a brain coral right here. Some seaweed. I'm just roughing in shapes. Obviously, this is just squiggly lines. I'm aware. But this is this kind of thing when I'm just roughing in things like this. This is just like a reminder for me later as I get into detail, you know, of like object goes here, and you know, that kind of non-specific, not helpful at all to the viewer watching trying to interpret what I'm doing, but it is helpful for me when I go back and just need that reference. And then there'll be a spot of coral here that's catching the sun. Let's say, okay. And then more coral in the background over here. This is going to largely fall off into darkness on this side. And man, I got an itchy nose, but my hand is covered in paint and turpenoid. Let's grab a clean rag. I will scratch my nose with a clean rag off camera so you guys don't have to watch. Success. Okay. And then we want to think about too, what other kind of critters are we going to put in here? So as Jennifer pointed out, in the original sketch we have a little crab guy. So I got to think about where can we find room for this crab guy in the sketch, right? Or in the painting. Let me pull him up real quick. See, in this sketch here of our shark guy, he was just down here in the corner, but obviously this guy's way up there now. So he's got to be down on the floor. So maybe I'll have him atop a piece of coral. Maybe he'll be more in the background. I don't know yet. Certainly we're going to want to throw some more fish in the background, things like that too. So lots of decisions still to be made. Oh, Charlie asked, did you watch The Ugliest House in America? Yes, I do watch that. It's awesome. Yeah, me and my wife watch that all the time. A new season just started to air. Retta, the host, is pretty awesome. And she's from Parks and Rec, which is another awesome show. But so, if you don't know that show, if you're not into home improvement shows, the idea is that they go around to all of these different houses that are ugly in the U.S. and they pick whichever one they think is the ugliest, and then they get like $150,000 home renovation to make it pretty again or whatever. But generally speaking, all of the houses that they showcase are still pretty cool in some way. They're all unique and unusual. And they have their own merits. So anyway, it's a fun show. Okay, maybe like right here. Okay, I'm just the crab, right? I think what I want to do, yeah, let's see what we think of this idea. Okay, we have like a rock formation, a coral formation, some in the foreground right here, right? And then we have the crab on top of this, and again, just quick and dirty. and he's just up here raising his pincers there, talking shit to the dog. So maybe uh, the dog is focused in on our crab in the foreground. So I like that. I think that'll work as far as crab locations go. And there's more coral in the background. And then I'm just going to put in some blobs, which will represent some fish in the background. And we'll figure out what those fish are going to be. Maybe we'll do like a... Yeah, I don't want to get... Yeah, that's enough. 1, 2, 3. 3 fish in the background. All the coral, the crab here in the foreground. That should be enough detail here. I don't want to get too crazy with it and then just have it be a big mess where there's so much happening that you can't read the action. But and doggy's tail right there. Okay. Let's fix this crab up a bit here. Well, you know what? That paint is just too wet. I'm just smearing it around. I gotta let that dry before I can fix that up too much. See how we're doing for time. All right, it's 9 o'clock already. Let's see. Yeah, this is all still kind of wet. The figures are dry, so I could paint on top of them, but I think I might want to halt and wait until everything else is dry, because I think what I want to do is, once this is dry, do a light glazing of blue over the whole thing. That's going to push things back, and then start building in the color on top of the blue, and just that blue tone over everything, I think, is going to start tying in all of these different shapes together. So I think that's what we're going to do. That is to say, we're going to call it on this for tonight. Obviously, still a ton of work to go, but we made a lot of progress at the same time. So now let's take a look at the sketches again, and you can compare how it started and where it went. So right, and then, so, you know, not, close enough, I'm glad I had these as a reference. I'm glad I had sketched these guys up. I really like the characters, but I think they're going to end up being even cooler in the final painting. So, yeah, we're going to call it a day. Again, I'll be back here again in 2 weeks, live streaming. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to work on this painting. I'll have this finished before the next live stream. So again, follow me on socials or follow me on Patreon, and you can get all of the latest there if you want to keep up to date with how this one progresses and how other paintings are coming along. And I guess that's it, right? All right. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate you guys. And again, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like on the live stream, leave a comment, and have a great night. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Take care.